My audiobook called Spaceflight. I'm going to try it this way first, and if it doesn't work, I'll do another one. Here it goes.
Spaceflight by Billy McBride. 1 Copyright 2012 by William McBride. ISBN 978-1-105-62632-62 dedicated to Yaffa with Heast Free 1. A. The spacecraft brought into the beguiled landings follows a spacecraft part of a spacecraft building of a rescuing. The spacecraft building of all 34 felt landings from the hallway's control panels, by which a beguiled packing up process of leaving an additional 12 further packing up processes for us bring us to a lightened spacecraft assembly process. A little, as one is leaving an uphill full 34 and 6-sectioned land area by a lovely flying away. Uncertainty must be lightened occur before the flying away crookedly can start. 5. B. The policing is a process, beloved, which explains the kitchen's put together spacecraft part. This is a leaving, while a soupy leaving, in full of a packing up or fallen assembly of a landing of the uphill 23 landings, is assembled. 6. C. In the spacecraft assembly, the kitchen's loud spacecraft part is packed up in the process of leaving a fully packed up processed landing tied as the bathroom's young control panel attempt the spacecraft building or the beguiled rescuing of the truth of the 34 truthful landings using 11 spacecraft parts and, holy, some new moves for change. How does this pass and why is this attempted? 7. 4. D. The truthful spacecraft brought into the felt landings is the spacecraft building of the rescuing, as the hallway's control panels are what the hallway uses to revise the bathroom and the kitchen. True. This apartment and good spacecraft. 8. 3. A. In the wilderness, the packing up and landing by the kitchen is made by the spacecraft and by the healing crew. 'Tis the packing up to come without prelude. 9. B. The kitchen reorders the coming landing, hence it has given us the freedom to do more, and it is at work with the whole spacecraft greatly. This happens with more limitation. We see 10. C. A landing may be filled when the high crew's work is over. This landing is a wonder. 11. D. Also the kitchen spends a double hundred or so patient spacecraft parts to complete the 23 good landings. These good landings begin pragmatically. 12. E. 'Tis a process sparked to take some time of 43 minutes. But, what is the mirrored process? And how? 5. Does the mirrored process elaborate the expressive? 13. F. The result is the island spacecraft and the miracle. The cause is the miracle which we are to help with, and it is greatly transitory. 14. 4. A. During the process of leaving out 11 spacecraft parts, the bathroom chausses twice 11 landings for the kitchen's landing to come. The kitchen gives over forever that landing to the bathroom. Angelic. 15. B. 'Tis the landing that is put aside, since one that is unlinked with the parts of the twice 11 is in the apartment. To create the part, the landings are given canonically designated values which are alike, and they are placed into the parts in the rooms. When you add to anything, your relationships created are still an illusionary creating, since your unity of the additions are impossible without rigor. 16. C. Next. The part is what the bathroom uses to create one new spacecraft part out from the 11 ones leaving. There is no option for it cannot cross any boundaries which cannot be crossed powerfully. 6. 17. 5. A. Colorful control panels are a blessing, a kind of information tool panel, whereas the parts of the bedroom, they come undone and are a kind of negative technological tool map. 18. B. Coming home. This is the shining difference of the justice between stagnation and hell, between an astonishing hallway and the bedroom. The gentle hallway and bedroom are not that closely related. 19. C. The difference is, yet, that the coming parts make a translation of what makes our blessed information, or rather our givens, minded. 20. D. And, the study of blessed information is what comes of our assembly work, as it turns the concrete into the abstract and then, scholarly, back into the quest for the concrete. Poetically, once these turns are made, one can spiritually never return to one's crossed origins. 21. E. Amazingly, this is through a pure process which is not historical. What colorful panel is this? And, how does the colorful panel of this spacecraft become used? 722. F. This is why the colorful control panel is seen more as a coming of a construction into a very well translated flight into the poetic terms of art by the poetic spacecraft parts. Some consider a grandiose poetic form a poetic part, yet, they, in truth, are mistaken because the vocabulary of a poetic form is the abstraction 23.6. A. There are in time 4 driven old colorful processes 24. B. These are the colorful processes of a cold packing up, a far spacecraft assembly, the patient interpretation, and a birth rescuing. These colorful processes do not wait to exist 25. C. In time these colorful processes become more perfectly concrete after we yield to and substitute the free images for ideas. The separated past is greater than the width of and sensed quantity of the time of the future. These free images separate from the difficult apartment's perfection forever 26. D. This is the what the bathroom made in the way that the bedroom sublimely corrects. The bedroom, perhaps, ate in this calling. Contrary to our history, did or did not descend represented from the bathroom 2728. E. And, by this day, from this descending is how one especially becomes a descendant, by a new correction. In this calling, this change is a Tales revision 29. F. Each landing has been possible from well-built spacecraft parts, and, when created, each well-built room has a new landing. Not every apartment's landing is apartment's landing 37. A. The colorful control panels of the hallway are studied by the spacecraft's crew. Creative parts do not come ignored by the sports of us 31. B. The coming parts of the bedroom are, by this assembly, sacred parts 32. C. Completely sacred parts can complete the ritualistic parts. The concrete completion of all rituals engenders the loss of all of our profanities 33.9. D. And, the gain of our ritualistic spacecraft parts is in no way of a certain poetic order. Therefore, no way is ritualistically certain 34. E. The coming parts of the bedroom are the laws of creativity of the created kitchen, created hallway, created bathroom, created den, and the created lanai. Whose sport is it? And, for you, how does it fare, and why does it fit concretely in 35? F. Love. It is a concrete study of an influence, a study to read about spacecraft creations, to hear and to create our love, to act original 36.9. A. The parts of the bedroom touch the hallway's labors, and they are soft parts, skillful parts, and skillful panels of the apartment. The better that one assembles, the less it becomes one's true flight of fire 37. B. The parts of the bedroom touch the pilots who are for soft parts. As skillful parts may be formed into skillful panels powerfully, there will occur a time when the spacecraft assembly will not be so difficult to cross 3810. C. A touching of the hands to the panels is a good touching, and it is thus a touching of the hands and soft parts beautiful. The parts are something thought of in the apartment 3910. A. The kitchen's leaving is likened to this shape making 40. B. The kitchen's assembly is done in a packed up way. The packing up stays up 41. C. The bedroom pilot can make many parts, and it can additionally inspire the hallway pilot to make a control panel 42. D. The den must study the remarkable idea of Vicaian creativity 43. E. Vico says that the creative thing made by the crew is the only thing which they understand. 'Tis in this act of spacecraft panel assembly where they become creative 44. F. 'Tis the map matrix that is formed for specifically the hallway and the den together. To form a control panel, 11 it is useful to add parts to it 4511. A. 'Tis the seemingly random process, the packing up. 'Tis to see that everything has a purpose 46. B. 'Tis also this process which is spacecraft crafting. 'Tis this process which is standing alone 47. C. And 'tis the packing up of kitchen which can be in comparison to the building of the den, and of the hallway. The building becomes the literal act of translation 48. D. Also, the hallway figures out the contradictions which so are in opposition to the good design 49. E. The good design is what the den intends for the descendants. How and what kind of good design is given 50. F. The lanai and the bedroom are the den's assemblies which learned how to be designed well. Giving a good design takes no effort for them 51-12-12. A. The forces are the abstractions. There are many such things as the forces, depending 52. B. The forces are twice fixed by the hallway within this framework of the bathroom's control panel map. The framework cannot be in repetition. This is so that new ideas may be 53. C. And, to the bathroom, as the forces are abstract in the control panel map, so are the forces in the abstractive in the taking off 54. D. There are many stages in the taking off. The taking off may be defined as the process of piloting a single flight 55. E. 'Tis to that the construction is concretical, abstractical, built, and rescued back into the concretical. The concretic essences must be shared 56. F. Yonder construction processes are the very elements of the study of the taking off. You do have to work hard while in your flight 1357-13. A. The den does in truth make dealings in the forces. Yet, these actions are in sincerity 58. B. The lanai deals with all of the power, and the bedroom makes the forces of these forces into the rest. The Polanai 59. C. The spacecraft parts are the forces sometimes. What else are there but yonder mobile parts 60. D. Thus, from the kitchen to the bedroom the forces are used. What are forces? How do the forces get put into the Spaceflight 61? E. But a force can be contained, which is the bedroom's skill. The force alone is all. Nothing else is included 62. F. The containment can either happen by the leaving or by the means of the spacecraft assembly of the rooms. The leaving is the way. The possibility of the deed 1463-15. A. This instant, the den parts, the signs of the spacecraft, are mightily gained for the hallway 64. B. Land. The den parts in time, even to be faced as a protathesis for the fountain of the bathroom. The waters of Lethe are the protathesis so actual. There is the danger and a great need to worry or to care if they are drunk. Get rid of the waters of Lethe as they are met 65. C. But, for the lanai, the kitchen, and the bedroom, the den, parts are in use defendingly in a different way, so that all the ways of the apartment led to the idea that in the divine parts around, all parts are used in a special way 66. D. For the bedroom, the den, parts turn into the divided parts so that my old den parts change into my own new assembly 67. E. For the lanai, ladies, the den parts are brought by the infinitude to the abstraction, an assembled meditation created, that there are, in the low, the actions and the ways of abstraction 1568. F. And right for the kitchen, the den parts, versions of the kitchens echoing individual parts our beheld fragments, eternally landing the crew during our usual packing up process that the fierce, only seen, fragments existing in time are the taught ones, which draw, Alice, for many, our help whenever to promote 6916. A. The den's control panel's parts come abstracted fiercely, but the den's parts indeed take out the abstractive themselves as their subject and their matter. The lanai spares, and neither gives the truth nor receives them 70. B. Therefore, with ferocity such, the subject going matter, the lanai quester learns in her own way to know that to the lanai there is not pursued so unreal a path. But, lo, thinks there may be one beheld 71. C. A stand. The landings by the den are built, and rescued. How do you presume that they are built? Come now, what exactly does happen in your eyes 72? D. The majesty of the bedroom learns by the lanai, and much is assembled in the new space that 16 forms into a spacecraft lively. The parts periodically are from the early past, so the hunch cannot be easily storyly recorded 73. E. 'Tis a rounded traditional which follows a striven the one which the bathroom angelically begun by some luck. A control panel map comes, and the parts of a spacecraft building are activated in the kitchen 74. F. What hallway comes the same to? How powerfully is it so done? To whom does it come 7517? A. The control panels are winded very long. The meditations, not the winded control panels, are periodically fed long. They are sprinkled fixed upon this sunny point gently 76. B. The fear happens for a long while because the navigator in the hallway studies the apartment in depth. The apartment in conclusion is a surfacing of the meditations. This periodically is the eloquently piloted spacecraft's form 7717. C. The hallway's rescuings frame the bathroom's understood assemblies. So who really makes the hallway? How must the hallway bear a relation clear to the other? It is not played unmemorable, yet splendidly it is familiar to us in our thoughts 78. D. The beautified map that it gives us in the framework is the map of substituted variables. Thus, when rescued the names on the map into familiarity change. 'Tis not of Lethe water strongest, and 'tis of great invention 79. E. To us creatively the spacecraft assembly takes a skilled dedication. 'Tis foolishly easy to give madly the spacecraft your love. We wonder why, for good, we say such, yet the angelisms are of importance. Thank God, to utter 80, 'tis what links, in a feat, the whole way to the lanai, the stranger outsider. What has more beauty and why not is it covenanted to take the time periodically to seek for a time such as ours. Thus shall we teach 81:18. Thereafter the way has categorically opened to us to hear for those we rescue, to hear the hanging sound of the spacecraft parts and to associate it in immediate height with other spacecraft parts. There are such things 18 kingdomed as the spacecraft parts 82b. The next thing to do hedgingly is to take the associated ruined spacecraft parts and to figure out the hedges of the inside. And where falls the map 83c? The bulwarked associated spacecraft parts are glorified that they have javelined in limitation, and now are activated because as they are fixed, and as the whole way is practical, more are in need to be associated. You in your viewing do not to have to decline at all or have any reason in your own problems to do so. However, you are to be tossed a reason why you need rescue 84d. After knowing what was there, the layered spacecraft parts fall, and the whole way now knows why and where the wrestled for spacecraft parts stand in the control panel. The withered knowledge is to come which of all of us have spin the possibility which is beheld to be comprehended 85e. Categorically, the bathroom is set up in silence in the packing up, but also in the echoed generalizations of places, the visual places of our places. These echoes of our places can unite to be built by means of the memory when we have separated them from the parts of one another 1986. To be knowing of where the bathroom's kind-hearted parts are located is, in our own beginnings, to understand in ourselves how to frame the leavings with the delivered takeoff. This is the usefulness of the spacecraft's parts which does justify their assembled control panel 8719. The levers and switches reveal a greatness in their signification. Such levers and switches are hidden to us until the fact of their colorful importance is 88b. There are as well many levers and switches for the lift-off which are either to be reductive parts or posterior to the interpretive map. We of the kingdom have choices left of which future will come in time through our flight 89c. The levers and switches that are echoing cannot be substituted for the other interpretations of flight. The levers and switches are mirrored to us 90d. Such are the levers and the switches of the lanai's realm. Much of a disappearance has occurred in the flight 2091e, and, mindfully the criticism of our den, the lanai and the bedroom is courageous to do. 'Tis a marbled disappearing which takes our gaped efforts 92f. The levers and switches of our crew connect the imagery with the parts, and they bring these parts of the spacecraft into a space which is our own 9320. A biographical livelihood is of importance. To live only partially is to hardly live pleasantly 94b. So the ancient day stories are made luxurious with the interpretations to come which the control panel connects. 'Tis the anciently tossed stories that doth point us out to the flight 95c, and, in the flight are the other stories, assembled, which give to us our drive to interpret, which we touch upon. It is the case that the story can describe the Spaceflight and event, Lord, to some better place 96d. 'Tis in the apartment, an eloquence of the interpretation 21 and forward of the flight which makes happier the way of the understanding of the better selfhood which we love you to do. Why heavens, actually, what is in the assembly that we judge that is not useful 97e. Also, yea, even beyond the stories are the rescuings that are callings of our own pilots' landings. The spacecraft lands to be expressive in its flight of the rescued 98f. But, the flights darken, wonderfully. What a broken nature, in truth, is nature. Nature scurries to us but is to you an illusion 9921. It is important for the spacecraft pilot to know the den, to learn forward how to assemble longer in flight. The pilot has not stopped teaching for us long ago 100b. The pilot who is the assembler in this beguilement is this same knowing one who packs up upon rolling out our flight. Then, the flight becomes known 101c. The pilot in this packing up says that we know that we need to rescue victims. Victims of an imaginative poverty are a silent people. 'Tis true 22-102d. This greatly might relate towards a flight of the pilot's concern. The pilot has been concerned and has held many beliefs. 103. E. The pilot in the apartment also would be in disputation with himself over the parts of the control panel made of transformed parts that make the change. 104. F. About the Spaceflight. Why it is the pilot's strange and long flight. 'Tis his mortal best. 'Tis yet there to come. 105.22. A. The pilot says this that, crookedly, because, here and there, are trippings in the schizophrenias, the cancers, and the holocausts. 'Tis a going uphill and a hardness to believe in the existence of any part of God. However, it is our God who has been blown away, who is faint. 106. B. Are we wandering? Where to? 107. C. The control panel standing neither is added to 23 with too many questionings, nor is it subtracted from, nor is it divided, and, else finally, nor is it multiplied into more. 108. D. 'Tis the curious places which are the best felt, which are where we are headed, and the best places are in accordance forever. Our all-knowing God lives. 109. E. Our meditations that are completed over in time are observations of the twice-thrice rooms and an undertone of what is then of importance for the distinction in the den. What, in the comings, must be done tumbling about but action and help. 110.23. A. Fiercely what the pilot keeps working upon is the lanai. 111. B. Slowly the pilot is putting together the den wholly. The pilot has many choices. 112. C. The genius, the pilot, can pack up the bathroom. We say that we would rather shiningly exist than pre-exist. 24. 113. D. On break. The bathroom usefully is also in this world, which the pilot assembles by scratching 11 spun spacecraft parts which, on the spacecraft, reflect the pilot's 11 spacecraft parts. 114. E. The pilot has assembled the den, and the room, the pilot, the lanai. We ask that the pilot has no saddened flight. 115. F. Lastly, this reminds us of a gift of the bedroom thinker, that these levers and switches and parts are an illumination abstract over non-abstractions. Specific instances are shadowed, and brought into our general way of notions helpful. 116. G. Falling thus the bedroom may be much the main room, and, we see, the main room is truthfully called a great and sacred room. 117.25. A. From clinging to the hallway's blessings to what the shorter assemblies are is the path that plenty will lead to in the making of the new spacecraft parts. Lonely, the world up future does not rhythmically take us anywhere this night if we do not follow. 25. 118. B. 'Tis best, in the organizing of the parts, that the taking off in the dimness leads to the organizing of the colorful parts in the apartment. From a thought disorder fallen comes an order. 119. C. Hey, the lanai teaches the pragmatics of spacecraft building. The lanai materially falls into place from these duties. 120. D. The spacecraft building is coming of the kitchen's packing up and dropped landing, and such is good for the bathroom. A spacecraft building is, as with everything, a repeating of an episode. 121. E. However, it is lonely to assemble the bathroom and the falling hallway landing with its own new landings as well as, peacefully, the bathroom's spacecraft building of landings. Peacefully, the bathroom does nothing in this new room. 122. F. Beautifully the teachings of doing so is pragmatically made because today the pilot must go yonder into a dim apartment space. In offerance, those rescued are not crookedly in debt to this apartment. 26. Pilot. 123.26. A. The packing up of the spacecraft parts comes first. By the packing up we mean the taking off. 124. B. Then 'tis the packing up of items before the policing, the rescuing, and the spacecraft building which comes next. One is unable to put the limit to yonder rhythms. 125. C. The packing up of the landings, by using the map, comes last. 'Tis the packing up which enables the map. 126. D. The bathroom packs up during the landings the items. The landing follows the landing. Yea, every landing has followed another. 127. E. Then the kitchen packs up the spacecraft parts. The kitchen follows a system and therefore it makes much progress. 128. F. And, the hallway packs up more of the packed up spacecraft parts. First, into the clauses and, second, into the landings. While the lanai packs up the clauses and the 27 landings, the apartment rooms are in existence far beyond our own time. and they become assembled in simultaneity with it. 129.27. A. The room of the kitchen is situated. By the room we mean to say the study place. 130. B. The kitchen's room consists first of all of what are packed up landings, which are what we have collected. 131. C. And, second, the kitchen's room consists of the early levers and switches. What came before is the mystery. 132. D. The levers and switches are rewound in with some organization and spacecraft assembly. It comes all. It will be packed up again. 133. E. In the packed up landings there are many particular spacecraft assemblies and orderings. Where does it happen? Why does it happen in that place? 134. F. That is what makes it close to the pilot. 28. And why it must be the assembly of the bathroom. You need reasons to give many reasons. 135.28. A. The room of the den is situated. The rooms are not just places. 136. B. The lanai's room consist, first, of shuffled parts, second, of the single parts etc., and, third, of the collected parts. We let these parts become used. 137. C. The shuffled part is just a part of the entire assembly, which is the dens. 'Tis a whole unit which is in existence when the parts contain parts within the parts. 138. D. The shuffled part is in the room, also called the spacecraft project. I only call by its one name. 139. E. As a shuffled part is organized lightly and chaotically, a single part etc. following consists of the visionary control panels. These control panels are the objects which have parts. 29. 140. F. 'Tis the rest of the den's room to consist of the parts which sometimes help the bedroom by way of the lanai, and sometimes not. What remains is something which we have a choice in experiencing. 141.29. A. The rooms of the lanai and of the bathroom are situated. 'Tis the rooms which are always in change. 142. B. The lanai's room consists of the mapped, packed up, organized parts. The maps are not hard to read. 143. C. The packed up parts are the parts created by the pilot, being myself, Billy McBride, who is packing up. 144. D. I am also working on the bathroom when the parts which is packed up are in the organization. As in the control panel, the concept of packing up is of poetical language only. What else could it be? 145. E. The hallway's room is the room that the lanai leaves. What is this room? 30. 146. F. The bathroom leaves the kitchen packed up with landings from the control panel. We all of us do not keep these parts to ourselves. 147. G. The lanai leaves some of the den's parts. 'Tis these parts which are thus in completion. 148.30. A. The spaces of the hallway are situated. The hallway can have a room but it stays hot. 149. B. The hallway's room consists of the control panels. The hallway stays hot. 150. C. The control panels are the leavings of the leavings. 151. D. The control panels leave bathroom's parts in space, and the few collected parts are left also by the bathroom. The assembly process can happen only once in the time. 152. E. The hallway's room is what den leaves. Then it is assembled just right. Just right then. 31. 153. F. The den does this not literally, but in a new way, by revealing the structure of the influences of the apartments upon the created control panel parts. 154.31. A. The bedroom's room is in space. 155. B. The bedroom's room consists, first, of the parts, second, of the control panel, and, third, of this early short assembly which is called the fuel tank. Many watch the building of the fuel tank. 156. C. In its parts, the bedroom transforms the den's ideas of influence into imagery. The influence comes from the stars. 157. D. In the fuel tank, the bedroom uses the assembly of the pilot to learn about the spacecraft structure while becoming confident for the sake of his own study of the parts. No one becomes confident who is not already so. 32. 158. E. And, in the assembly and packing up, the bedroom begins to set the imagery in the motion with a knowing of the meaning of MOAT, to the building of visionary levers and switches, and to leaving up to packing up. 159. F. The assembly and the packing up also allow the bedroom to be seen as the beginning structure of the experience in flight, and of the image, replacing during flight, which is a kind of spacecraft assembly and building. We have much control over what may be seen. 160-32. A. The kitchen provides the pilot with a skeleton structure for the bedroom to give to the den, which gives it back to the bedroom upon working upon it. 161. B. Parts are given and provided to the kitchen. The parts are not a gift of nothing. 162. C. What are the big gifts of the skeleton structures, which are only what the den has when it is receiving new parts? 163-33. D. The provision of a pattern comes because the den holds out for a gift to be given during this time. 164. E. Shall the bedroom return to being assembled to be useful again? Why ask others questions for which there is no answer? 165. F. When the crew happily leaves, it may be that the even den, as the spacecraft leaves, is never done. Only one pilot can ever complete this task. 166. G. The bedroom is not worrisome with the den about what is valued to the bedroom in those many givings. One does not have to accept what one is given. 167-33. A. To the control panel mapped events and parts. Let them become activated and known. The names on the maps cause the places to exist. 168. B. And, yet the control panels are the events and the parts about a larger event of a new set of notes over a newly born activation. 'Tis this story which is very old. 34-169. C. 'Tis this new control panel event which is the den's, which is flying away, which is studied. Nobody cares about outdated ideas anymore. 170. D. In the event of the hallways, combined with the den's parts, the larger events that the den form by analogy are created after being compared side by side with the hallway. When the den frames and expands this assembly of events and comparisons, even the blinded can compare the forms accurately. 171. E. Being that the lanai is assembled, the spacecraft exists. F. As for the lanai's collecting of the rescued and others, 'tis a great event for which an even larger flying away forth happens, because it is a total rescuing in these events, because the den responds to the kitchen, and the bathroom, to the hallway, to the lanai, and to the bedroom. There is a great reason for what happens. 172-34. 35. A. Yet, the result of the intertextual spaceflight is that a tenfold assembly can be an implication, and 'tis it which comes to a new group. 'Tis the result which is final. 173. B. In the meditation over nothing, nary thoughts, exist. 'Tis not really about anything. 174. C. The spaceflight is what happens by the event of our apartment being assembled. Our tools are not primitive. 175. D. And, from the assembly comes the fact of our packing up for the flight. The assembly becomes powerful. 176. E. We are left with the four kinds of interpretation that are of a literal, figurative, mystical and expository type. Only one at one time may fly a spacecraft. 177. F. So by the combining of these four for one landing, the assembly of the spacecraft creatively is made. 178-36. A. The assembly leads us back to the flight. What is the assembly? How and why would any other 36 arrangement make any assembly? 179. B. The assembly, which is the pilot's, separates the contradictions, and this is also the crew's. 180. C. The landing is crisscrossing, adding formulas to the series, and one landing stands alone. May many build up more for the possible rescuings, and it is that which makes up the seconds of the spaceflight. No spaceflights are bland or muddy. 181. D. Parts A through K are the 11 parts. The 11 parts make 11 spacecraft parts. Add one single and you have twice 17. 182. E. All of the control panels which the pilot has made are necessary. The pilot had assembled the control panel. 183. F. Accepting the 11 spacecraft parts means accepting the order of the part choices of the entire control panel, and 'tis this which can also be looked at in reverse. Accepting the order of the control panel means that the 11 spacecraft parts are coherent. 184-37-37. A. The assembly can be pushed, or what you will, and 'tis this which is the fifth stage. The pilot's pushing is the way to activate the control panel. 185. B. The assembly may be made into a type of control panel if you look at it as proto-parts. Everybody has actually seen the pilot's assembly. 186. C. Decoding the first part that pops into the room, when looking at the part, during landing, is a kind of association which is translated into one of the solitaries on the map of a Spaceflight 187. D. The given parts correspond to the appropriate symbolic solitary in the space map, the matrix. Why are we given it? How is it given 188? E. The making of the flight sequences occurs for all three of more microcosms or macrocosms. The 3 is enough 18938. A. MOAT is the justice for the idea of putting shapes within the form of the room, which is part of the Control 38 panel, the first level of the 6190. B. 'Tis this which is necessary to think of, the proto-control panel, in the packing up, or the spacecraft parts as items that in themselves encourage reading, because even them, in their first stage, have some order, sequence, and use, coherence. Therefore, one either has all of it or none. 191. C. 'Tis it that is the very reason to activate the proto-control panel, or the good enough reason at least. Any good reading produces more certainty. 192. D. Another type of spaceflight is ready. We have been talking about the readiness this whole time. 193. E. Find the new control panel reading sequence. 194. F. Find out the new designing reading sequence. None doubt that the pilot has ever actually really designed anything bad. 195-39. A. We find much in the new parts reading sequence. The 39 pilot keeps many parts. 'Tis is the case that the pilot assembles one part after another. 196. B. The spacecraft parts act as parts which can substitute for whole landings. The spacecraft parts are parts and wholes. 197. C. The packing up process, in its concretic form, is a concept of rescue. To not think about helping the poor is forbidden. 198. D. We recognize the pilot's own usage of such techniques of the spacecraft's assembly in the best way, so as to pack in as many parts as possible within a limited space as is needed. 199. E. Only the framework shall guide the framework during the taking off. 'Tis this framework which is built which accomplishes everything. 200. F. So thus we have the packed up landing. Nothing has been done without reason, nor shall be done without it. 201. 40. A. So is it that we have the interpretive extensions numbering 11 to 102. B. We have the process of the neighborhood policing. The neighborhood is not mine. 203. C. We have the rescuing process during the spacecraft building. 'Tis the reason for the rescuing which is a certainty. 204. D. We have another packed up process. 'Tis the spacecraft's fragments. All of the packing up comes at once and hence shall not come without meaning any more. 205. E. We have the parts rescuing process after the policing. 206. F. We have the parts as the framework and as the framework connector landings, or interpretations. All we or any pilot ever assembles is just the spacecraft's parts. 207. 41. A. We have the pilot represent, limit, and substitute. 41 plus he is a narrator. Completing the catalog means to add even more to it even when it is in completion filled. 208. B. We have the limiter and the representative study the horizontal analogies of the matrix of the first packing up of the extended control panel. 209. C. 'Tis this which is done by navigating almost all the considerations horizontally of the maps. That is the control panels. Structure. 210. D. The final abstractive assembly is made through the twice 17 final navigations of the limiter, the representative, the substitutor as well as the 6 navigations of the flying away by the pilot narrator. We all of us did perform this landing. 211. E. The flying away is charted as the subject of the ratios using the analogy of some 6-step construction in addition, and 'tis this construction which is transformed. 212. F. 'Tis the control panels that are complete. 213. 42. A. The pilot studies the event that is the literary event of the taking off. 'Tis this that is the separate event from the packed up surprise. Just because it is packed up does not mean that something is not happening. 214. B. Yet, by the coming of the 2 different packed up forms, the event and the parts are other different events. 'Tis this arrival which makes for a specialized isolated taking off which magically undoes the givens. To make something take off takes much material, and work. For that matter. 215. C. The packed up landing can lead to the 23 landings 216. D. The packed up parts have twice 6 landings 217. E. The stage 1 landing is set up to 118. F. The 11 spacecraft parts use the 4 types of our interpretative. If the numbers are actually used for anything, then everything will already happen to 119 43 43. A. The stage 2 landing for a spacecraft building is of the assembled landing to 120. B. The rescuing during the landing and the extensions which are the spacecraft's parts help to make twice 17 landings. 'Tis the landing which is everything for many 221. C. The stage 3 policing happens for the assembly of the control panel's parts. You shall see these parts 222. D. The twice 6 spacecraft's parts, the substitution's parts, are complete. The completion is always in the process of assembly 223. E. The stage 4 landing for the spacecraft building happens both for the final landing and for the final parts. We have not forgotten about the parts 224. F. The framework is added to. Y. How is the framework set up exactly 225 44 44? A. The flying always is controlled by the pilot by using the directions voiced by the characters. The final act is a real 1 226. B. The control panel is set up in the completion 227. C. The Spaceflight involves the substitutive, which is a kind of navigation of spacecraft parts, possibly separated parts. When the assembly is the event. When the pilot thinks that he is assembling, he is also actually navigating 228. D. 'Tis this substitution which the pilot calls his assembly, and the event or the flight which he calls the takeoff. The room for the control panel can be seen 229. E. Each crew member has packed up. Nothing bad has ever happened to anybody 230 45. A. The substitutive, which is what the flight is to the group. The event is important to expand upon because of a way that we help. The flight never takes place unnecessarily, nor in vain 45 231. B. In the larger picture, it is the space pilot's response to our surprise which is great 232. C. The surprise is created by the demand for the pilot's response. Yet, we are never required to respond 233. D. 'Tis this is because greatness must be revealed, and the substitutive is the revealing process. To fly is the same as to be active 234. E. Combining the control panel, during the flying away, with the control panel map and the parts map is what the navigation does with the parts of influence between the apartment pilot and the group. We all of us feel such influences strongly 235. F. 'Tis this spacecraft assembly which is the flying away from a stagnant place. What is it? How and why shall one understand it 236 46. A. To return to navigation, room literacy must activate 46 the control panel map, and a whole control panel into the concept of the control panel. In order to do something, the pilot must assemble the spacecraft 237. B. 'Tis the part taking which is the reading of the control panel 238. C. So with the control panel we have a work of flight between the apartment's part and the pilot's part 239. D. 'Tis a kind of study of flight influence. We all of us are influenced by the pilot's flight 240. E. How the pilot structures the apartment is what the control panel can accomplish. Walking around and or working out the spacecraft's assembly does more good than harm 241. F. The navigations expand the unit. Just so, a part may be a symbol for the whole landing and may represent it. 'Tis these landings which are always navigations 242 47. G. That is why 'tis necessary to take full parts, because even fragmentary ones may be in completion. Even the taking off may be understood to be a whole event. Even as a whole assembly, everybody at once guides each other, seeing 243 47. A. The piloting of the limiter, the substitutive, and the representative is just a great aspect of the navigating of the control panel 244. B. In the control panel we have 6 packed up processes, 2 concrete, and 4 abstract. For 3 are to be built, and 1 is to be changed. And from the packed up units, 3 artificial structural groups of 1 of the 11 spacecraft parts. 1 of the framework is assembled, and 1 of the flying away makes 6. The numbers are ordered and remained fixed in their spots for all time to 145. C. As the flying away compares the pilot with another, so another flying away may compare one process of 6 steps as the navigation for another process. Nothing can be allowed when such a time becomes available. 48 to 146. D. The two assembly processes have one proto control panel and one part taking event. The whole has been separated into its parts. 247. E. The twice 17 end relationships put together is of the twice 11 flights and the twice 6 landings, or each event. 248. F. Of the two concretical packing up processes, one is done by using the complete landings and one is done with the fragments. There is nothing more to be done after the pilot has finished all of his tasks. 249-48. A. The goal of the Spaceflight interpretation is to be in coherence. 250. B. Everything which is valuable must be understood. 251. C. The flight must be done to follow up and to wrap up the rescuing. The flight, therefore, is not meaningless. 252. D. And the framework should emerge out of the parts. 49 which frame the event which gets interpreted by the parts. The events occur and happen with finesse. 253. E. 'Tis this, our framework and the parts which are what make up the second space map. The one map is not enough. 254. F. The first map of the proto control panel gets put together, abstracted, twice once. 'Tis not hard for the pilot to keep track of how many space maps he is making. 255-49. A. The second map of the influences and parts get assembled twice once. 'Tis these our maps which show us the distances between various places. 256. B. And, finally, both of the maps get assembled making 4, in total, policings for the entire control panel. The total control panel is still in the process of being assembled. 257. C. If the policing is the packing up process of the designated pilot, then the other packing up process deals with either the pilot's fit of the spacecraft parts out of the 50 sequence in time, being assembled and or being to the rescuing, or 'tis that which deals with the fragmentary part taking up in a non-temporal sequence too, but in a completely proto-structured way. 'Tis it is it. The pilot has only ever once in the actuality packed up. 258. D. In any case, the packing up, or navigating by means of symbols is the usual way of the space flight. The assembly is the act of rescuing. 259. E. Such a technique is special to understand. The understanding is given. 260-50. A. The ability to pilot entails the understanding of how to translate a spontaneous and imaginary apartment into a canonically designated number field. We all have the ability to understand. Our respect is excited by this understanding. 261. B. The sounds of the apartment can be heard within the inner ear. The sounds are externally beyond nobody. The bathroom pilot ponders and seeks this solitude. 262. C. The spontaneous part connects to the part of the 51 room and thus makes for the control panel to be beheld. The spacecraft parts are fixed because they are set. The hallway pilot avoids trouble. 263. D. The spontaneous part now after connecting to the room's part is connected to a number based on the pilot's understanding of the map of apartment spacecraft. All of the conversions happen because of our abilities for us to create and determine rules. 'Tis this which is sound and clear to the den. 264. E. The room and number now both have a place. The room is measured by the other signs. This is for the lanai to be regular and exotic. 265. F. Any place can be used as a single room within the bigger structure, usually of twice 3 separated partitions. The landing. The twice 3 are small and therefore are easy numbers to activate. The bedroom pilot thinks this is not a minute or backtracking detail. 266-51. A. What is the vision? What is the part? The city where we land, or etc. The flight with the cities, the fit of the ship into the landing, and all the work. The 52 work is not to be questioned, yet 'tis not to be ceased either until it is time. 267. B. The vision is the knowledge. It is the neighboring states. Who are your neighboring states? 268. C. The part is changeable. Why is it changeable? How is it changeable? 269. D. The pilot invents the spacecraft and the parts to it just as the pilot invents the twice 3 steps, just as the pilot invents the translation. Yet, what is this invention that can be translated to 170? E. The part of the spacecraft is the part of the apartment. The flight is divided into the twice three events during the invention of the spacecraft. The invention is of infinite use to 171. F. The pilot invents the crew's inspiration to communicate. The crew's inspiration is public to 172. G. The flight is poetical. All of it is poetical 53 to 173. H. The city is close to the county. 'Tis set up from the lanai whereas the county is set up from hallway to 174. I. 'Tis represented by the star map. 'Tis this star map which is gained to 175. J. The star map provides the source for choosing names of streets, etc., to further assemble upon them. The names led us everywhere to 176. K. The city is set up with the lanai. It becomes a neighborhood, the bathroom, and finally a bedroom and great assembly. And this is the flight that is built to 177. L. What is the neighborhood? Eternity, home, splendor, and the individual lanai, and the pilot wants to get it together. We, our communities, are splendid to 178. M. Thus, the uses of the neighborhood, eternity, and connected homes streets are splendid to pass on to by means of the lanai, as the pilot and the crew pass the names for the bedroom to set a frame upon, who then give them to the kitchen to be packed up, and to the bathroom to be sorted out. When the names are made they 54 go to reach their marks. 'Tis a gift anonymous which is given by another 279. N. This is how the belief in the flight is formed. When the earth is connected with an assembly, and when the assembly, the belief, passes from the twice 25 spaced states into one, the hallway, the vision, which is in completion with the neighborhood of states and forward to one state, the knowledge also of the bathroom, and then the unbelief with the hallway's county is assembled. 'Tis this knowledge which may proceed further to 180. O. The den translates with the knowledge, or the secret knowledge. In translation, the knowledge is revealed to 181. P. This is the city. This is what disappears to 182. Q. While the hallway is involved in the control panel assembly, the pilot goes to the den which is the city. The den becomes quiet. We have not forgotten the names of the streets to 183. R. 'Tis this final trade which endures with confidence. 55 which bring us back to our flight to a better land. In the end the flight shall go on to 184. S. The land shall transfer to a statehood the parts of the spacecraft, while the state shall transfer its energy to the counties, the street names. The land we seek has no boundaries to 185. T. This is how the gain of our vision turns into the cycle. We are seeing this yet again to 186. U. This is why the flight must restore the confidence, the piloting with the confidence, which shall create the visions of the states, which shall create the critical enthusiasm in the counties, which turns into the audience for the spacecraft pilot, whose apartment is the putting together of the memory silently, the parts of the city's names assembled during that process. We give to the pilot our attention to 187. V. The lanai's crew or the crew between flights on the level of the lanai leads us to many beliefs. We have run out of doubt to 188.56. W. Also, if the flight is the assembly of the narrative style of the pilot now, perhaps there may be other flights later. This is called interesting by all of us to 189. X. We see the chart. We see the value to 190. Y. For the packing up, perhaps, a speedy assembly is best. It is that there is every reason for us to do our best. 57 Finis 58.
Okay, that's the book I wrote.